Welcome to Take It from the Iron Woman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Iron Woman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Iron Woman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Iron Woman. We only have special guests, and today we'll have a coffee with Jennifer. I'm very happy to have you. I know we've been talking for a long time to have you on my show. Jennifer, thank you so much, and introduce yourself. Who is Jen, who is going to talk to us today and have coffee with us?
Yes, let's have coffee. I'm Jennifer Stone, and I'm so happy we met through Seth Godin's Kimbo workshops, the podcaster workshop. I've been roasting specialty coffee for over 20 years. Quickly, I'll say I was originally inspired by my trips to Mexico and Spain, where I was studying the language. And so I got my hands around some coffees and just the whole cafe experience, the cafe society got in my blood. And I decided to start roasting coffees with the goal of just sharing great cups of coffee. I opened my first cafe with $13,500 alone.
Wow.
And that was in 1997. But I've just been really blessed and fortunate, had great coffee and great customers who through the years grew my cafe business and then a wholesale business. And in the last probably year and a half, I've evolved into some consulting. And finally, my Coffee Explorer podcast is live. And then a nice little online e-commerce brand of some of the best coffees I've found over the years from amazing farmers.
I'll read a little bit from your biography. Jennifer Stone is among the foremost coffee experts in the world. She's a top 100 Q grader and international judge for Cup of Excellence that is sought after to judge international coffee competitions and provide her stamp of approval on the rarest and most exquisite micro lot of coffee globally. You have to unpack that a little bit. While I was preparing for this, I was like, how did I grow up? Basically, I grew up on instant coffee, but now I will not drink instant coffee anymore. I truly enjoy a good cup of coffee. And I'm from Europe, so I also know in Europe we have a different coffee culture. We sit down, or we used to sit down. We have a piece of cake with us, and we can sit for hours and hours and hours. Tell us a little bit, what is top 100 Q grader and how did you get into this?
Q grader, licensed quality grader, is technically the designation. And there's a couple of thousand of us around the entire world who, like a sommelier in wine, like a master sommelier in wine, we are calibrated to speak the same quality language about a coffee, be it high or low. We have parameters so that we're all tasting similarly and can judge a coffee. Ultimately, my goal is to be able to help the farmers and producers understand if this is happening in your coffee, this fault, if it's too muddy tasting or it's a rubbery or something, we can figure out why and help that farmer avoid that. It's called a defect in the coffee. I think that is a great mission. But also ultimately educating coffee drinkers too. Like when you go to the wine store, you can see 91 points, 97 points. We do the same thing. We score up to 100 and it's very quantifiable. That is kind of the purpose of the licensed quality grader. On the other end of that, as the Cup of Excellence, it's a program that goes to a coffee drinking country and allows farmers to submit their coffees for a competition. It goes to a national judge, an international jury. They're auctioned off, which gives the farmers a huge shot in the arm financially.
We know it's the pandemic and we cannot travel, but before, where have you traveled to and what have you learned from all those travels?
It's just in my blood. I'm like itching to like get my passport out and pack my suitcase. But I've been to Colombia, Costa Rica, Guatemala. I've been to Burundi, which is probably like the most exotic for coffee growing countries. And Kenya, I've been to a couple of times, which I'm just mad about. Kenya is just so amazing. It's a very well structured coffee program there. I know some other places. I've been to Rwanda, and then on the list still is Ethiopia and a few other places. I mean, it grows in so many countries, but there's some real rock stars. Oh, Panama. Hello. Panama is like the creme de la creme of coffee producers. They'll have auctions where you can buy a coffee for $10,000 a pound.
Really? So it's like the truffles of the...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think makes it a $10,000 coffee then?
Yeah, just like in wine, it's a rarity. It's finite. It's a vintage because it's an agricultural product. And the producers are doing very unusual, exotic things to the coffee cherries to process them, to get the cherry off of the seed. And then also, it's market driven. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition with like the Asian market. Like there's a very strong Japanese contingent, which they're kind of known for spending whatever they want for the things they really cherish, like whiskey. Yeah. So that comes into play as well. And that is who paid for that particular coffee. But I've paid over $300 for a pound of coffee.
Wow. And this is like you cherish it. I know when I came to New York, like you get a coffee to go. It's awful coffee, but that's how I started to drink coffee there. Yeah. And now it's all like, as you say, it's like wine. It's organic, you pay whatever, right?
Yeah. But my benchmark for my brand Ciel Coffee is complexity of flavor. And so that anyone who picks it up that drinks coffee somewhat could taste like a few different flavor notes, like an apple, chocolate, peppercorn. They're known for being distinct in flavor and an experience.
Yeah, it is an experience, right? It's like I picture myself. I know my mom, she likes to have espresso, and to me, it's a little too strong. Tell us a little bit like the difference. Does it matter? Like short? Like I know there's so many words for cappuccino or ristretto, or tell the listeners and me.
Well, the thing about espresso, it is intense. It's usually an ounce or 2 ounces. And the reason why you get such a hyper caffeinated feeling from it is that you're drinking a little bit quickly. So there's the same amount of coffee in a cup of coffee or an espresso, but you're drinking a short amount more quickly. And so everything is pretty much a combination of espresso and milk. Cappuccino is frothier, latte is milkier. The ristretto is restricted or short espresso. Yeah. There's a lot of romance language around it. Ultimately, we're taking a really nice coffee and putting it under a microscope and just grabbing the flavor in 30 seconds versus using gravity to get other flavors out of the coffee.
Tell us, what is the worst coffee? I mean, like, I have to say again, when I came to the US, I was like, I want a coffee. I don't want tea. And the coffee tasted awful. Other restaurants came about and they make it special. Give us some tips on what is the best, what is the worst.
Yes. I like to look for what I call single origin coffees. Kind of like wine, I want to experience the coffee like from the Huehuetenango region of Guatemala. I know is going to be bright and acidic, or from Central Valley of Costa Rica, or from like Kilimanjaro. You've been there.
Yes.
Very nice coffee there. So I think seeking out a single origin to start is a good place. Fresh coffee is so important. Coffee can sit on a shelf, a grocery store shelf, for a year and not think twice. And I also think starting with like a medium roast. That dark roast is going to taste dark, just like when you grill a steak. Well done. You're tasting the cooking and it's called the Maillard reaction, but you're tasting like the carbonized sugars. Same with coffee, and Starbucks has, built their business on that. But with a medium roast, you're going to, taste what's gone into the coffee, the natural variety of the coffee, the soil, the wind, the processing. That is my tips. Like start with like as pure a cup you think you can get.
And when you said the coffee can be on the shelves for a year, so you recommend that you buy the whole beans or the ground? Okay, whole
beans. And then ideally less than, a week is great, but a month. If you're grinding it fresh, anyway, if you have a coffee bean and you poured water over it, you wouldn't taste anything. But when you pound it and you expose, I think it's 800 particles for regular coffee. You turn that bean into 800 different pieces. for French press, then that's how you get the flavor. And if it's been ground in advance, it's oxygenated, it's stale. You don't get the flavor, the vibrance of flavor.
How many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
Not as many as you think. There's a physiological response to having like a good cup of coffee. And so I'll have 1 or 2 very well brewed quality cups of coffee, unless I'm like, cupping something out or doing some testing or quality checks. I will expectorate quite a bit if I could have 200 sips by lunch, but I'll spit a lot of that out.
It's like the wine tasting. You take a little sip, you spit it out. I have typically 1 cup of coffee and we add a little bit of chili into our coffee. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty exotic. Yeah. Chili powder?
No, the fresh chili, the vegetable. Yeah.
Okay.
Makes it special.
I will try that.
Yeah.
Gotta be better than butter in your coffee.
Butter? Is that what they have in Nepal?
Yeah, the yak butter, or there's the bulletproof coffee, the keto coffee.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. I'm ready for my cup of coffee. I don't know if I can spend $300, but I love a good cup of coffee. What are you taking away? Are you ready for a coffee? And actually, she is offering a free sample of Ciel Coffee. It's US residents only, or you have to come to the US. Take it from the Iron Woman. We have episodes in the months of March, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Pick up something for yourself. Do something good for yourself. You deserve it. And Take It from the Iron Woman actually started out with a book. It's Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Get it on Amazon. You can read about my journey from Switzerland to New York to Kilimanjaro and Indonesia. Something for you.